Every patch of grass has the potential to become a skyscraper. All it needs is to be put under construction. Welcome back to yet another episode of Under Construction SA. I am your host, Thuso Motsomane, and thank you for tuning in. And today, I am not alone. I have a special guest. I have a musician. He's been doing live music. He's worked behind the scenes on radio. He does ad scoring, and as well as film scoring. My special guest, his name is Simlet. Simlet, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing very, very, very well, man. Maybe let's start off with where you from, and if there's something that I've missed, you'll add that there's this thing also that you're doing, because I know you do a lot of stuff. It's just that today we're gonna sort of focus on the music side of stuff.
Okay.
Because that's what I know you for. But just give us a picture of who you are and where you from, like the background that you're from, your household, and the town that you're from.
Okay, cool. Firstly, thank you for the opportunity. I don't think I'm a superstar. I don't think I am one, and I don't want to be. It's just my name is Simlet. Okay, first name Phumlani. Phumlani Simlet Sigidi. I'm originally from a White City, Soweto. Born White City, raised a bit half White City, half Pimville, where my grandmother is on my dad's side, and half CWJ, where my mom now stays. And a bit of late now into the Protea side, because that's where I got married. But I come from that very small Matombolonyana houses there. And I then later went to boarding school, spent a greater part of my life there. And that's where I wouldn't say the music bug started, but the music bug kind of was drilled. I didn't want to do music. I was doing it I used to be a DJ, by the way, for those who didn't know. I started off as a DJ. I was probably 16, 15 when I started. And I just, for the pure love of listening to music and appreciating the art form. But yeah, born and raised in Soweto, currently in the south of Johannesburg. I'm married for 3 years now, with 2 kids and an amazing wife. So yeah, it's been a great time musically. The music bug, I think the creating part of it or the playing part of it came later. I used to be a collector because of my dad, and one of the things my dad never wanted people to do, which I still thank him for till this day. You were not allowed to skip songs. You were not allowed to listen to songs a bit. You were forced to listen to the entire album and not skip tracks, because he felt you didn't appreciate the person's art form and the storytelling thereof. So we'd sit at the garage and play music from track 1 to the last track. If you drive into the house while the song is playing, you literally had to stop, and we had to wait for the song to finish, then walk out of the car. So that was my schooling. And then obviously I started DJing, and then started serving at church, And then one random day I decided to sing at camp. And that's where the kind of strangeness of the gift kind of came out. And the rest, as they say, is history. But yeah, that's my story in a kind of a summed up version.
You said a lot, and there's a lot I want to ask. There's so many, you've said a lot of stuff, but now, I don't even know where to start in terms of questioning, because your story is so interesting. But would you say that your dad is the one who played a role in you being drawn to music? What would you say?
Yeah, my dad, major, because I guess the part of this, because I was listening to music that was, now that I look at it, people in their 50s and 60s were listening to. And I was listening to that stuff when I was like 13, 10, 14, around that age. And because of my dad's love for music and collecting. So my dad used to play, the band Sankomota, right? Hey, when so, hey, when Africa, hale uruti haye.
Okay, yeah, I know the song.
Yeah, you know so. Yeah. So the band with the late Tepotola who passed on. So that band,
no Tepotola as well.
The first drummer of that band was my dad. Way back in the days. Wow. But then my old man was more interested in fixing cars, but he liked the design part of it and how cars are tuned, how the engine is tuned. And he got into that and he ended up becoming a very good mechanic, and kind of left the music scene. But the bug of loving music, collecting music, I mean, my dad still has Stevie Wonder's, if I'm not mistaken, 1982 LP record vinyl. He still has it today and it's still not scratched to this day. He has albums like, he has an album, Sade's album from back in 1996. And the CD is not scratched. Like the CD is still, so he's very particular how he carries them and takes care of them. And if they are missing, he will see it. And what? That kind of
imagine.
And I got the bug from there. And little did I know that I actually have a natural inclination to music. And then I told my grandmother, and then I started, I think it was by God's grace or God's like divine orchestration, because when I told my grandmother I want to play guitar, literally that week, Ukoko went to work. Those guys that give out pamphlets at the robots. So one of those pamphlets was guitar lessons that same week. And then he gave it to me, and she gave it to me, and then I started, the guitar journey started that way. I didn't have a guitar. So I used to draw lines on my hand here. And I would practice on my hand and I would imagine sounds because I didn't have a guitar,
Damn.
Yeah, and my guitar lessons when in Melville, they used to start at like, I think at 2, but I used to get there at 10 because I wanted to learn how to tune them and what. Yeah, a lot of guitars got damaged in the process because I was fidgeting. But my dad drilled that, and because of him, I don't know if he was living his dream through me. I didn't have the struggle of, hey, man's music, humble hands are, go do law or whatever. The rest of the family did that, but my dad was like my advocate in the family. He was like, no. And the greatest, to this day, I credit my dad for that. The greatest investment my dad gave me, he said, you'll do music on one option. You don't skip church. Non-negotiable. You don't skip church, you don't skip church camps. Bro, there was a time where I was going to every camp at church. Like I was the guy that paid in January. My dad paid deposit in Jan. By the time July, I've got a sleeping bag. Like, come August, I'm ready, bro. I'm ready to go because I think he understood the investment, because if you're going to protect this gift, we need it in the right atmosphere. We need it in the right environment. And we need it in the place where it will practice and flex, as you would say, and get an opportunity to see what it can do and what he was more concerned about. He said to me, you need to find your sound in the music because there's no one like you. And he always quoted, creation waits for the true manifestations of the sons of God. He would always say, like, the birds and the trees are waiting for you, Chief. You must manifest. You must show up. So it was a long quest of finding out who I am. And my dad was, To this day, bro, if my dad calls now, I jump, because he's been the mentor that, indirectly father and mentor at the same time. Yeah, so the music bug really hit me there, and it got me my first guitar. We bought it at Cash Crusaders. It was I think it was $200, and I cleaned it every day. It had its own polish and its own cloth. I was particular. No one must touch it. No one must move it. And that's how I kind of got in because of my old man. Yeah.
So what would you say that, how would you say that, because you say a lot, you say a lot of nuggets. I'm like, which one do I even pick, and it's messing, it's really messing me up, but it's great content and your story is amazing. From how do you draw lines and just like, I'm dumbfounded, but how would you say the decision for your dad to say, you know what, on condition that you're going to go to camp, has shaped the person or the man that you are because of those decisions? Like, how would you say that your upbringing in terms of that particular point?
I think moral compass. My moral compass was shaped, and by moral compass, a lot of people might think I'm talking about like very specific things like autugani, or you don't, it's not there. By moral compass, I mean your values. What do you live by? What do you stand for? What are you going to die for? Who do you live for? Because we know we came here because of someone. You didn't just manifest on planet Earth. So if that person brought you here, there's a reason why they brought you here. And in this time, in 2022, you're still alive. You're still doing great content. You're still interviewing people like myself. And God knew, and I think for my dad, because of, a bit of the life that he used to live and then found Christ, and then, kind of took the road less traveled, as they would say, the narrow gate. He saw the benefits of that, and he said, no. If I don't have the billions, at least I will invest the knowledge of the billions in that young man. And that shaped me because, and I still say to this day, man, like, church is the greatest university I've ever been to, ever. Well, specifically, my local church, Grace Bible Church. Hey, shout out to Bishop Sono, and that place, because I started at Grace Bible Church when I was in grade 2, back in Homemakers. And that was many moons ago, and I learned a lot there also about accountability. So for an example, I remember my then Ostokas, she's still at church to this day. Mama Tokas used to give me a task of wiping the chairs. So every time put the chairs, now you must come with the cloth, clean the chairs. So they took the chairs clean. And I used to love that job because I was like, people are sitting where I cleaned. No one knows, but God knows, that kind of thing. Responsibility, shaping the man that I am today. A lot of things I can easily decide about them. Shaping my destiny, the reason for my existence. Why did I come here? And also, why do I have the gift? Why does the gift come easy for me? Why can't I write and compose so many songs? I've written so many songs, I've lost count. Like church, I've written songs that became anthems for people at youth, at home. And I lost count. I lost phones that has voice notes with songs, and wrote again. And, so church then became this place of safety to say, okay, there's a lot of things happening, but let me guide you here. And God became not even my lifeline, my life source. It's like if God is not in it, I ain't coming, you know. So then I kind of was shaped in also when you go to the secular world or when you go outside, because I played and I still play a lot outside, it was easy for me to make certain decisions. I wasn't taken by certain things. I was tempted because temptation stalks every day. Like it's a daily stalk at like every day. But when I was out there, I used to do very strange things. Like when I would go there, I would call Pastor Sam or Overseer Sam. He kept saying, Brut, I'm going. Please pray for me. And he would pray for me over the phone. I was young, you know. And that was my safety. And I tell people, you know, church, like, who's going to give you like the equipment churches buy? Like, it's really expensive because I know now. Like, you'd find a keyboard, one keyboard is like 50 grand. Another keyboard is like 60 grand. The guitar you play is like 25 grand. The lights and whatever and whatever. And somebody's giving you this instrument to practice with it every Saturday and is trusting you that, yeah, we mosh. Like, that's like going to Verts and they give you the lab. You want to become a chemical engineer and they give you the lab, but this lab is yours. The chemicals in that lab cost a lot of money. If you break stuff, the university must pay. So that's why I say, like, church is the greatest university to this day. But I just stand at the back, play my guitar, go home. Sometimes I don't want to wake up on a Sunday, but I know what it's going to do for me because you're daily doing it. And the nice thing about church is that there's a show every weekend. Like, well,
there's a
can use my... There's a gig every weekend. You know? Yeah, and that's where the film scoring bug got me. Kind of like solidify where I started pursuing it. In church, you're taught to read moments.
Okay.
Like at a certain moment, when we start, like Bishop always says, the first praise song can make or break the service. He tells us this all the time. So if you start slow, start sloppy, start without confidence, it's going to take you much work to get the people in.
I'm learning.
So for an example, most of the time, earlier services, like 7 o'clock service, people, they don't want to sing. They like, you know, they don't want, you can tell from reading the audience that the people don't want to, they want to, but you know, so what you then do, don't use a semi-fast song or a semi-up-tempo that will lift their mood on a 9 o'clock only. Use it as a 7, because at a 7, you're trying to spark and get people. It's not like hyping and getting emotions. No. Also, there's a part of song selection, obviously, that where you declare and it's scriptural and theologically correct, that I get. But from a performing point of view, you want to get people. So that's reading your audience. And then when worship comes, you need to know that you play less. And you are less jumpy because you want people to zone in. You want people to be very reflective. You want people to not jump around too much, because you're setting up the mood for the word that's going to come. And by that time, the people are like, okay, we're ready. Then they sit down and then they receive the word, you know, and also it leads up obviously to the altar call, etc. So you do that every Sunday. Every Sunday. It's worse when there's like word explosion and conferences, and you do it every day. Bible seminar, you do it every day. Prayer week, you do it every day. And you learn those things, you perfect the art, you know, and you learn to play with people. So that's, for me, that's where the bug kind of got me as well. Yeah.
So, but I wanted to ask you that, how did that now, you spoke about that's how the scoring bug bit you. How do you relate the process that you just explained to film scoring, or ad scoring, because some of us wouldn't know. How do you relate that to what you do now?
So my brain, I don't think I'm the only one. I think I'm one of the few that is brave to do it. I don't have limitations in what in where music can be used. I'll give an example. If you watch commercials, TV commercials, that is, you'll never find an advert without a song. I used to ask myself questions like that. Who's writing the song?
Okay.
You know, I remember so I'm a big movie fan. I'm like that guy that will watch all the movies and there's nothing to watch anymore. Like I've maxed out Stekinico. Like I'm the guy that has like the card for this cinema and this. I'm that guy. You know, when I used to go there and I would hear, when I first got introduced into 5.1 surround sound, and I would hear these helicopters going over our heads in the cinema. I'm like, hey, this is so cool. This is so beautiful. And I'm hearing this music that's like, it makes me feel like I'm part of the movie, man. We're going to kill this guy, man. We're going to kill him. Yeah, yeah. And I'm, you know, sometimes I do scream in the cinemas. It kind of rubs people off the wrong way. But when I started hearing those things, because I watched a lot of movies, and I asked myself the same question again, who's writing that music? You know, then what I started doing, I started listening, I started like looking at the credits, and then I was like, I love this world. And the biggest thing that pulled me into film scoring, you know, first part was obviously the church part, but secondly, cinema or watching movies, was the fact that you can't put film music into a genre. I liked that. Like you couldn't say this is quiet or this is hip hop, this is what. It had the elements, it had these other things. And then as I went in deeper, obviously, I found out that there's not a lot of composers in SA, black composers, that is. You know, so everything that is orchestra or, you know, orchestra type of arranging is what dominates the film music. But like, if you had a movie where Jesus came to White City and you had to score that, bro, we don't have violence, crossroad. So you must find a new sound. And that's the exciting part, is that there's nothing like this, there's nothing. So that got me excited, because I like stuff where I don't know what to do, because I think that is the greatest form of living. It's when you don't know and God gives you the opportunity and you can create. There's a very, very famous verse in the book of Genesis. After God has done his wondrous stuff, he goes to Adam and he says, dude, name the animals. You understand that day, we did not know that this thing is a lion, this thing is a crocodile, this thing is a giraffe. There's no reference. It was like, so what happened that day, he said, and was like, giraffe, crocodile. That's my own version. Lion, whatever, bear, blah, blah, blah. He was given an opportunity to create out of nowhere, which is the essence of who God is. He created out of nothing. And this world and who we are right now became what we know. You know, so for me, I got pulled into that world because of that. And I know I'm saying it in the long way, but those are the elements that kind of led to it, because there's always a process of thinking for me, and a process of like, why that? Why is that? I want to be the guy that does that, you know?
Yeah, you are, one thing I'm picking up about you, you love telling stories, and I think you're a great storyteller. That's for me. Like, because normally when people speak for long, for me, I always say to people that I struggle to concentrate, right? But with you, I find myself listening and listening and listening. And yeah, just hearing your story from, like I said, I was dumbfounded by this. And then you telling, yeah, I wouldn't have thought of it that way. Like even your examples of church and how church has impacted you, you know, your upbringing and how meticulous your dad is, and how, you know, telling those stories, for me, it's amazing. And I hope people that are watching are really, really enjoying it and are really inspired by your story, because for me, I'm already inspired and I'm learning a lot. And I know I'm going to go back and listen to this again alone and play, because you're dropping nuggets. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, or have never tuned in, or who's never subscribed, please click on that subscription button. It's written subscribe down there in the red, and also being next to it, you'll find something like a bell. Click that, the notification button, that every time we release an episode, you are notified. To the music side a bit. This is for selfish reasons. Actually, I actually have a lot of questions. You know, even when you spoke about writing, because I know some of the most amazing songs that you've written, especially for church. Because
really?
Yeah, I've been there. Like, those songs, for me, I still sing them today. And I'm like, why don't we have them somewhere? Like, because for me, lyrically, it's not even about anything. Like, lyrically, the songs. I remember I was having a conversation with Ntan for I think it was Good Friday celebration, right? Was it? I think it was our 2000 prayer. We had a prayer night. And she requested
I remember.
She requested that you come and sing just for us young adults, because there's a disconnect. It's like, yo, please bring out Simlet for us and stuff like that. And, and old songs, because the songs that you wrote, I still remember them. Like, that's like soundtrack to when we were young, when we were teenagers, like when we were going through the most. I can vividly remember what was happening in the transition of camp. What have you done with those songs? What are those songs? Before I ask the question that I really wanted to ask, what happened to those songs that you wrote that you used to sing at church?
The amazing story is that at some point I thought that season was a phase at my young youth days, and for the longest of time I felt like, this was an era. Maybe, I made a big mistake, I have to admit, though. But I said, like, this is an era, let's move on to the next thing. God, this thing is done. It's cool. There was a bit of a hiccup spiritually that I went through, and I kind of like lost my way. Not lost my way in the sense of I did the wrong things, but I felt lost in the whole what am I doing kind of world,
Yeah.
And I had to find my way back, and it was like a long way back, and I went back to my dad again, and I said, yo, time I as connect anymore. And my dad, bruh, he might not have been a billionaire or whatever, but the stuff that comes out of his mind, I'm like, God, I'm gonna milk for whatever. Anyway, so my dad then said to me, it's fine. Questioning is okay. Questioning is not skepticism. My dad said to me, questioning is not skepticism.
Yep.
Questioning is you seeking clarity, and there's nothing wrong.
Yep.
I went on this road. I read. I didn't listen to sermons where people were preaching and teaching. I wanted to hear people talk and discuss things and dissect real problems that I wanted to hear. Anyway, long story short is that what did not stop, because Akira, I thought the era had ended. Here's what did not stop. To this day, 2 days ago, I wrote another song. I'm still writing songs. Every day. Some of them I throw them away. I'm like, this is too cheesy. Lasa. But my phone is my, people like backup pictures and say when they change phones, they say, yo, Mina, my voice memos, my voice notes. Please, whatever you do, don't lose them. I can count in excess of 900 tracks, that I write. And when I write, it comes in.
You sound like a piano guy now.
What? I sound like?
I'm saying you sound like a piano guy.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah.
These guys work.
No, they don't play, those guys. So what I do when I write is I spend a lot of time thinking about something. Like I would think about, like the other day I wrote a song called, so I called a friend of mine, he's from KZN. I always bounce with him when I Zulu Sam I just cross-reference with him because I don't want to be in trouble with, And then I spoke to him about, I'm like, bruh, what is this thing that appears in the morning? That white thing, the Jew and the whatever. I knew the word, but I wanted him to confirm it. He said Amazon. I'm like, yeah. And then I started writing a song about Amazon. But Amazolo as a representation of a new day.
Wow.
Then the story starts there. Then I wrote, then lyrics just came, and I just wrote all the song. So what happened with the music is that people kept requesting the songs, bro. People kept requesting the songs. I had youth guys from back then. I have youth guys today. Guys who are 19, 18, 17 now. I went to go do a intercession at one of the rehearsals who Nombuso had invited me to come, their leader. I went there. I sang one of the songs, bro. And they couldn't believe that I wrote that song. I'm like, no, wow. Is that your song? And they were all
amazing. Which song is this one? Which song is this one?
We Want More. We Want More. Yeah, We Want More.
Oh, yeah. The song 2015.
One of the most effortless songs I wrote. So when I spoke to them about that, you see, the thing that surprised me was not that they knew the song. It was how old were they when the song was released?
Come on.
You know what I mean? I'm like, you guys were 10, 10, 9, 11. Yeah. You were still at children's church. But somehow, that music made it to them. There's no recording. iTunes was not that popular. Still there, but not that popular. And I said, you know what? What am I going to say to God when I get to the other side? Because the greatest investment. So God says in the book, I'm sidetracking, but in the book of Genesis, he says, be fruitful, multiply, and subdue. Fruitful, produce. Multiply, reproduce. Subdue, control the market. So produce. So how do we know that you've produced? It exists outside of you. So the songs exist, So so what I did was, I'll share the links with you. What I did was I got in at home one day and I said, you know what? I'm not going to overcomplicate this thing. When you're trying to work on an album and then there's studio time, and then, because I know what it takes to do that. And I'm a bit particular with who plays and who sings on that material, because that music that from that time, for me, I'm too particular of who plays on it. I'm not gunning for the skill more, but more for the people that were there at that time, so that the heart is right. So what we did was, we one day came here at home, took the guitar, took the piano, and I sang all of them and I recorded them on video. I'll send you the link. Unplugged versions of them. Unplugged versions of them. Let's see what people say. If it goes well, let's then maybe go to the studio but now people have them. And then what I said, you know what? Because I'm doing all sorts of other things, I'm just gonna keep doing this unplugged. Whatever new one comes, let it out. Whatever new one comes, let it out. So that's what has happened to them to this day, So I'll just send you the links and you can, that's the best version, because I felt like I was overcomplicating the recording process of it was taking too long for them. And secondly, I thought that era had gone. But to this day, last week, somebody asked me about it. And I had to send them a link last week. And people will share the link if it's dope. People will share it. If it's old, it's old. If it's not, it's not. But I don't think it is if you're having my 2000 knowing about that material. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask you this because I know you've worked with a couple of artists in the
Sorry, one sec.
industry.
Sorry, one sec. I'm just plugging. Apologies. Yeah, I'm back. Cool.
So I was saying that I know you've worked with a couple of artists in the entertainment industry. As we were saying that you used to call Pastor Sam and say, yo, I'm going in. People don't understand that when you say I'm going in, it was live performances, you were gigging with the biggest probably in the game at that time. You know, I don't know if you still do it, but I know I remember I saw you, it's not even, I think it was probably 4 years ago on Nadia Nakai's Instagram. You were playing, and I know you did tours. yeah, yeah. I know you did tours with Donald at some point when he was big, and I think the biggest has to be for me because I don't know if you've worked with him, but Black Coffee, I've seen you speak with him. I think yeah. So tell me about those relationships. Tell me about that time. How is it for you to meet this and work with these amazing people that we look up to, we see in the industry as like, yo, this is like the top in South Africa.
You know, the amazing thing is I used to I still do, but like look up to them in the sense that I wanted to be in the same room with them. Hey, you know, in starstruck, hey, one, hey, it's Black Coffee guys, or it's Nana Guy, or it's Donald, or it's Prince KB, you know, whoever those artists are. Yeah, the list just goes on and on. But what I found is that the more of your uniqueness you show them, the more they warm up to you. Like I'll give you an example. I've not worked with Black Coffee. How I started speaking with Black Coffee, because I DM him, you know, we chat over DMs and stuff. I know it's like sounds like a flex, but like I'm always asking questions to him about how he's navigated his career and stuff. And he always has like time. Sometimes he answers me at like 2:30 in the morning because of time difference, but he's always willing. I've not worked with him yet. I'm praying that day will come. But yeah, but like those people love people who are themselves.
Wow.
Like be you. Don't be the next Black Coffee. Don't be the next Neda Nakai. Don't be the next. I've played with the young and the old. There's time I played with. I remember one of my greatest conversations was between Mama Yvonne Chaka Chaka and Proverb. Because I used to take Proverb's gig just because I wanted to ask him questions. Because, you know, obviously he pays you, but you wanted to ask questions. Because I'm like, how did you do it? You know, because Proverb is okay, bro. Like the bank balance is okay. You know, he's nice. You know, Black Coffee, how did you do it? You know, there's a lot of people. There's a friend of mine, Tebogo Malope. He's the one that did Questa's Video Spirit.
The director, number one in South Africa.
You know, because
I know because
you interviewed Jamie. So me and Debs are actually, what you guys don't know, the current departments at youth, the arts, the music, and the aesthetics, we were the people that actually started there. So Tebogo was doing more of the video stuff. I started the worship team at youth. There was no youth worship team, by the way, when we started. And then there's another friend of mine, Ulili. He started the arts team, the acting and the whatever, you know. Yeah, so I played soccer with Daves as well back in the days. But having a person like that to sit in the same room with you, he can call Swiss Beats now. He can call Kaiser Jr. now. He can call Jay-Z now. I'm like, hey, this guy can call Barack Obama. And I'm like, hey, this man. But what
So
you
M's are
find
nice, Mus. You are
every time.
when I see him at church, you'll never think because it's just because sometimes he pulls up for prayer week. I sometimes see him for prayer week at church.
Yeah. But you see, we come from what does the English say? We cut from the same cloth, kind of thing. We found our talents at the same youth that has the same AMA 2000 today. It's the same.
Wow.
We found our talents there. We're doing plays and making lights using amapagete. It was those days, So when you are with these people, you be yourself. And I've sat with them, and it goes on and on. So when I work with these people, they call me because of who I am. I remember meeting Jonathan Butler. Yay, Muna. That day I was like, I don't know, And because I'm secure in who I am and my voice and my uniqueness, if Jonathan Butler starts playing guitar, I'm going to grab my guitar as well and play. We're going to play together. And I'm going to show him a few things that he doesn't know. And it's going to be like vice versa kind of a thing. So that has been the feel and the mood. And then work ethic is what those guys respect. Bruh, Black Coffee works, bruh. Hey, Mana. That guy it's a work ethic that you like, hey, does he even sleep? Kind of a thing. But he also understands that things work in seasons, and there will be a time where you are not, just like how Bishop is pushing. There's going to be a time where this thing dies down. So that has been my experience with celebrities, as you would call them. I forgot about that Nadanakai picture. Yeah.
I remember it vividly because I was in Bible school. Because I'm a hip hop fan, specifically SA hip hop.
Okay.
That's how I find it. So Family Tree, anything Casper does, even for me to know that Tibbs is with Swiss Beats. I think Casper posted it. It was Tibbs and Swiss Beats and Anati. They were playing music when Swiss Beats was in South Africa and stuff like that. So I follow the hip hop culture like that, and obviously the entertainment industry. But I won't lie, I would say I'm more of the SA hip hop type of guy. So that's how I knew, because I was just scrolling. Even though I wouldn't say I listen to SA hip hop that much anymore, because I used to be a proper hip hop head. I used to be a pro. Now I just touch base on what's happening, who's new, still live cast and stuff like that. So that's how I found out about it, because I was scrolling down. I'm like, hi man, I know this person. I'm like, Flip, I remember. You don't know. When I get Bibles, I'm like, yo, I know this person. You would know me. I'm like, yo, this person playing at my church. I know him part of a youth. You know, bro. So I'm out there to these people. I'm like, yo, I go to church with the dopest people ever. Because honestly speaking, we used to look up to you guys, because when I was coming, I was a teenager. I didn't even dream of what I'm doing. I can say the same trajectory of church and stuff like that. I've had Lituka here. What people don't know, the first prophecy, the first ever prophecy was from Lituka. The first ever, with what I'm doing now, Lituka himself, I forgot to tell him. He doesn't, one day I'll tell the story. Even the first time I had an encounter, he was laying hands on me. And this guy now, he's an entertainer. The first time I was crying, I remember crying, and my friend was like, yo, and I was crying uncontrollably. I'm like, what's happening to me? This is not me. This guy's gonna tell the streets what's going on. And that was Lituka laying hands on me. And this is the same guy that's now in the entertainment industry, who's on Mapoti season 1, And for me, you guys have defined, like, you know what? We can't be boxed in. We have to go out as Christians, because I'm also a Christian. People know I always speak about it. So we have to go out, and it's people like you. I'm like, I think for me, Simlet, you are one of the people that when people were saying it cannot be done, I'm like, no, I know someone who's doing it. Or in the industry. Because people would say the industry is devilish, you as a Christian won't survive and stuff like that. You don't know. I actually just remembered now. You are the person that I refer to. I'm like, if this guy can survive the entertainment industry. Because I don't think I know anyone else. I knew anyone else like that. You took at that time was still working. And I made reference to you to say, you know what, it can be done. You can still be a Christian, survive and go gig and do all those things and be in that and still remain in God and hold and be rooted in your values, as you said. But enough with me. I want to know, what's your desire for music as a whole?
Music as a whole. As a whole, yeah, that's big. Yeah. So I opened a company. Yeah, maybe okay. I opened a company about 3 years ago. 2 years, 3 years. Yeah, no, it's 2 years now. I opened a company 3 years ago called 432, right? 432 Music. It's not like you're gonna see the website or whatever. No, it's for publishing purposes, like where I'm housing my music and everything I do that is music. And it's spelled 432, FOUR 32. You know, because I don't want people to say 432. I want them to say 432 because there's a reason. So when you read in the book of 1 Kings 4, verse 32, it says, and Solomon wrote about 1,005 songs and 3,000 proverbs. To this day, I quote that verse and nobody knows it. You know, not a lot of people have read it. You're probably one of those verses that you skim through. And I'm like, but Solomon is the guy with the wisdom guy. The guy that we know who wrote music was the father. But for some reason, Solomon wrote 1,005 songs. Let's minus the 3,000 proverbs, because that's like an average in my own counting. That's about 6 novels of writing. Solomon wrote 1,005 songs. Let's say 1,000 songs for argument purposes. If you released a 10-track album and you take 10 tracks, you take 100 divided by 10, Solomon released 100 albums. I don't know an artist today who has released another 100 albums. Now, this is the same guy who was building the temple. This is the same guy who was a business guy. Because one of the reasons, you know, apart from other reasons we won't discuss, but one of the reasons he had so many wives is because every time he established an alliance with a nation, they gave him a wife. So you could say Solomon had businesses in over 400 regions. That's a lot of business and still write music. And still charge. And I'm like, what kind of calendar? Like, I can imagine in my own version, EPA Solomon was having nightmares. Like, how am I going to manage this man? So to answer your question, my goal is, I feel like the gospel industry, speak on that part, the gospel music industry, particularly in SA, has not evolved to the highest level that I think it can, where it inspires others. Mm-hmm. Number 2, there is a deep lack of thoughtful songwriting. Like thoughtful, like tell stories, you know. I remember I wrote a song, Umhlaba ngowakho. Umhlaba ngowakho, izulu ngelakho nephimbo lami futhi ngelakho. Ngalo ngizokukhonza ngigcwele intokozo. When I wrote the bridge that says ngobe kuseni nguwe nasemini nguwe, I could have said nantambama nguwe, but I thought that was cheesy. I said ekuseni nguwe nasemini nguwe nangokuzayo. Wow. I'm kind of like, okay, let's pause. I'm going to continue to mother about the story. Then I come back 5 years later, I write about Amazolo ekuseni aletha ukukhanya nelanga elisha. Amazolo is the Jew representation of a new day. So my story continues from there. Okay. I wrote another song called Lishoni Lilanga Kuzolunga Ngenye Imini, but I was writing a song about Shona Ferguson. Okay. As in Ilanga Lishonile, Shona has ushonile, but also the sun is set because Shona is gone. A new era has arrived. I wrote that song. I'm going to pitch it soon. I'm going to pitch it soon to Mama Koni because it's going to capture her emotionally. because it's like a two-sided lishoni lilanga, but in Zulu that's what you say, lishoni lilanga. But yes, ushoni lushona. You know, so there is a lack of songwriting in our country, particularly using our dialect, you know, our own African, but fused with, you know, how we speak, in fact. Like in the conversation that we've spoken now, Nkhulume Zulu, we speak Tswana, Sotho in English. Why don't we write like that? Like we need to write like that. You know, so that's one of my dreams in gospel music. And I'm on a mission to write songs like it's getting out of fashion. I'm going to write for people, I'm going to write. But I also found out that my music is different. Like I've tried to find my sound. I can't find it. And I'm like, you shouldn't find it because you're the only one. That's one. Secondly, in the gospel music scene, I have a dream. Ne? Have you seen like, I'll use, what's the current? I'm looking for, I can show you a sort of the standard. You know Gyra, ne? Maverick City?
Yeah.
Gyra, you are enough. Did you see how the level of the production?
Obvious, yeah. It's
I have a dream to do that every quarter.
Okay, that's amazing.
Like that amount of production every quarter, not for commercial purposes. Yeah, not for commercial purposes. The goal is not money. The goal is legacy. The goal is preservation. When people start studying about how to do things 50 years from now, they reference those concepts. Production high. Like things where I will call Debza and say, Debza is the creative director. You know, I'll call you and say, yo, man, help me with how do we get this thing out? How do people know about this? That level of production. Here's why. You understand that Grace Bible Church, and I always say, like, people like, Grace, and I'm like, I'm not interested in that. You guys are so clouded by money that you don't see what the place has. You know?
I'm clapping hands for the first time. Continue.
If you go down, because I speak to the head of sound and technical, Putsepang, and I remember we had a 2-hour conversation during COVID about the gear that is available in church right now. I'm not flexing, but I'm like, the gear is there. I serve there. I just need to present this thing for 10 minutes and Bishop sees it. I bet you, bro, like, I don't think it would be that hard for me to get the venue. Obviously, there's cost. Yes, I get it. But like, because of the relationship, so then what it does, my point is this, that level of production is halfway there. Because of the stuff is already there. And that's like, and I'm like, I want to see, imagine, bro, we like, you see that prayer we had? Imagine that, but with like every quarter we're singing new material, man. But it's material like it's the pulse of what's happening in our lives, you know, where we are researching. You are like, I'd ask you, I'm like, yo, bro, for the next 2 months, what's the pulse? What are people talking about? What are people going through? We go sit at a campsite or resort or whatever nicer place for 2 weeks there. One team is there writing, the other team is like, no, I don't think this lyric is what. No, I think we can make this lyric work like this because the screen does this, blah, 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 blah. And
can
money
I say
is
something?
not an issue.
Can I interrupt you?
You know?
Can I just interrupt you? Because you speak about that because Untogozo and husband had that. You know what was my issue with it? The visuals. The song was great. The songwriting was great. The visuals, the social media marketing, I was like, yo, when you're speaking, you remind me of, I'm like, because I can see those gaps in terms of production. I'm like, these people, I'm sure they can get someone with a great camera quality who would document a creative director because they had a camp. who can do this and execute it like home every city. And we put it on a reel, we run it on social media, we have a whole campaign around this song. Because I was like, I remember commenting because my friend, they never even replied. I'm like, the disappointment with me is this song is great, but the advertising behind it, and I felt like they didn't take it serious because I remember there was Kayam Tetwa, there was Hle, obviously Ntokozo and his husband. I remember seeing the guy from Worship Ulanga.
Yeah.
I don't know, like a couple of people, it was like a songwriting camp. I'm like, Doc, if they documented this properly with great cameras and storytelling,
you know what the issue is, I find. So Bishop spoke this past Sunday. He spoke about
we're running out of time, by the way. I'm just saying, left with about 8 minutes.
Normally people would be graced in more than one area. So for me, the other graced area that I have is technology stuff. Like, but I get that stuff. And I'm not talking about the digital part of it, which is more like the marketing. I'm talking about the building stuff. Like, I can start a language today. I can learn how to code in Python and how to make the software that they use for the new AI cars. And in 6 months, I'll zap it and I'll build a program. Right now, I seem to be getting a lot of work in websites, but I don't like websites that are static. I like interactive stuff. So the other day, I rebuilt the Apple website. I'll send you the link. I rebuilt the Apple website. I'm like, it's the same thing, but okay, with a bit of little tweaks of my own. And I showed it to a couple of people, So this lady said to me, can you build me a website that has a soundtrack? I'm like, okay, I've never done that before. And then I mentioned my price. He says, okay, you're not that bad. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So for me, my point is that because there's a grace right now for me to pull funds from this tech, can I build it to a level where it starts generating funds for itself? Because it has a potential of funding this quarterly thing. If my family is fine, my wife is okay, kids are fine, I don't think I need 100 million and buy islands and stuff like that. Nah, need 100 million for other things, not buying islands. But if you can have that quarterly, what it will do, it will inspire then other people. What the problem now is that a lot of artists are bootstrapping, careers. Like,
damn, we seem to have lost him.
And do it again. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
If she had to do a concert and do it again, it would cost her a lot of money. There's not a lot of people that can repeat the concert all the time, because it's taxing on the pocket. But if you had an influx of something there, when you say to me, yo, man, we've got marketing, we need to spend 200,000. And I say to you, okay, sharp, let's go find the 200K, blah, 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 blah. Because I know what you will do because you're an expert at what you do. And then I'll focus on the music. So that's my big goal, man. But with the film stuff, story for another day. But with specifically the gospel music stuff, we need to showcase the same way the Mapiano guys and are showcasing the world. We need to do our thing because they're already looking at us. Hle is already signed with Motown Records, the gospel part of it. There's about Ty Tribbett there, about Marvin Sapp. There's like a whole range of artists there. She's signed on that distribution deal with those guys. So they're going to be looking at us. When they get here, they mustn't find a version of them. They must find us in our very unique way of phrasing and singing. I'm told I sing very strange. I'm like, good, as long as people are singing. So yeah, man, that's my big dream, man. It has to be done. Like, this is not even like making money. It has to be done. 50 years from now, somebody's going to reference.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, we've run out of time and we're running out of time. I still had a question I would have loved to know. What are the movies and the ads you've scored that we've seen on TV? But I guess it's another conversation that we'll have another day. But
yeah,
I'm gonna pitch out, but you're gonna play us out with, you're gonna sing us out. Just you're gonna sing us out with a song, any song you think of, and then yeah, we're just gonna go out. For those who are watching for the first time, 5 p.m. every Sunday, subscribe, like, share. It's been an amazing episode. Remember uniqueness. Remember the story of someone that is crazy, that was playing a piano in his hand, a guitar in his hand, man. For me, Thuso Motsomane, thank you. Simlet, let's go.
Oh, okay. I'll sing you the verse of one of the songs. People don't know the verse.
Don't tell me he froze. I think he froze.
Ngazindla ngentokozo egcwele kimi, kwaphela amazwi wonke, kwavuka ihubo elisha, wanikela impilo yakho, nanamhlanje singowakho, ungumelusi wethu, nanamhlanje asikalahleki, wadela konke kanye nobukhosi bakho, wazithoba ingakho sithi umusa wakho wanele bonke, umusa wakho wanele bonke. There's another verse, wathwala umqhele kanye nezono zami, ihlazo lami, awukanye nokufa kwami, kwaphela konke ubumnyama phambi kwami, kwavela wena uqobo Nkosi. You know, it's like it's 12 minutes long, the song, by the way, in full version. You know, yeah. Wow. But I'll send you the link. You can even slot one of the songs.
The song for me, the lyrics,
Yeah.
Like I don't understand Zulu that much, but there are those things that I can hear. I'm like, flip the writing. You are right. Your writing is really. Thank you very much, guys. This has been Under Construction SA. We out.
Peace.